So I refuse to read the text as it is in the Bible. However, I don't tell other people to do what I'm doing. I would send this PDF out if you all choose, if you all want it. As Howard has just putting my little things in blue, in my italics. But nobody do how to follow that, okay? But if you don't, and you just read it as it is, it makes no sense. It really doesn't.
You could get some confusion.
Yeah.
You know,
so, but as I say, it's up to everybody. So let's read it. Now, nearing the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the disciples came to Jesus, saying unto him, where is the about the where will thou that we prepare for thee to eat the Passover? Which is everything they correct. Where shall we go and prepare to eat Passover? And he said, go into the city, right? This is in Jerusalem, go into the city, such and such a man, and say unto him, the master said, my time is at hand. I will keep the Passover at thy house with my disciples. And the disciples did as Jesus had appointed them. Now, of course, just as how God had set up the widow in the city or the village or wherever where Elijah went. I forget the name of the city now.
I think a name.
Name, right. God had already spoken to that woman and prepared her heart so that when he come until she give him her last piece of flour, make her bread with the last piece of meal she had and give him first and stir she son, and she said, you know, which is a strange request, your bold face. You know, she did it without hesitation.
Strange,
because God does set up what he's setting up proper all the time. And so when this man heard the master coming to eat with his disciples, he didn't flinch, you know. He just said, here's the place. Why? Because I don't know if it's an angel talk to him, if God just put it in his heart, whatever. But the point is, he heard the master. Know the words, not a man, you know.
I'm not going to say that. The master did it. Once he had master.
Yeah. And now that could be translated as my master, because many disciples had masters, slaves had masters, and all of them come into Jerusalem to prepare for Passover. But this one wasn't just my master, this is the master.
Yeah, he wasn't a master, but definitely that was the master.
The master. Right? So he sent them in advance. They came, the guy didn't hesitate, and they made ready, as you just indicated there correctly, Sam, not the Passover. It is impossible for them to make ready the Passover. That gives the impression that they cook food, that they cook a lamb.
Right, because that is what I got, you know, on the first reading of this story, is that they went there to kill the lamb and to fix it up and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
That is wholly unbiblical and never, ever possible for that to be done. That was on fine of death, you know. If you do that, there was a death penalty attached to it, you know.
Yeah. The secret, the whole thing, and that wasn't allowed.
Yeah, you can't do that. No, you could eat lamb any day of the week. It's not a problem. Even if they went there and cook up a lamb, wasn't no problem. But that wasn't the Passover.
Exactly.
That is the point, right? Anyway, and they made ready for the Passover. He said, where? Look there, go there and prepare for the Passover. And when the evening came, which is the Tuesday evening, he sat down with the 12. So he sent them in advance. they went and prepare, you know, clean the house, sweep it out, wherever cobweb, they move it, they dust it, they lay the mat. Probably they walk with their own mat from Capernaum, I don't know. Because, you know, as I said, that is your table. Your tablecloth is your table. They lay it out on the ground. They set the little puff on them for them to sit down on if they wanted, or as the case maybe get the water bowls for washing feet, put water for washing hands, etc., etc., etc. Whatever normal preparations they would make. Even their sleeping quarters, remember that they come traveling, you know. So they come with all their luggage, their knapsack, their backpack, whatever, and they plan to camp out there for the week.
Exactly.
So they would have prepared the bedrooms wherever they go and sleep and so on.
They're sleeping bag on them.
Yeah, right. So I'm doing all this so that we get a broader picture of the event here, and not stick with this narrative where you want us to prepare Passover and everybody runs away with the thought that they went and eat the Passover the night before and then they come and the next day's Passover. Nonsense. Right? So the Tuesday evening, which is the starting of the 14th day, the day that is preparation day, which you're coming to with text just now, that is the evening that they went and prepared and they had supper, what we affectionately refer to as the Last Supper. Not no Passover. Definitely supper, yes, but not Passover. So
and
we
the
read
last one he would have with them.
Yes, it's the last one, at least before his death, because he came back and he eat breakfast with them on the beach. He eat in the evening with them at another point in time. You know, after his resurrection. But this is the last in terms of him eating with them as a normal human being prior to his death.
Somebody get together.
Yeah. And this, remember these guys traveling all the time. Every day they having supper or breakfast or dinner. You can't be traveling, all them travel without food. Right? But
and they might have been similar too, you know. But,
they might have been what?
Similar. They even get together and eat together.
Yeah. But even a few days before, you have the same evening when the woman came and anointed him. It's supper they was having, you know.
He
went by a fellow house named Simon and they were having supper. And another evening they was by Martha and them house and it was supper they was having. This is like normal. This is normal evening meal that you know, just like we just have dinner, they had supper. British, American, whichever, you know, is dinner, supper, same thing.
Excuse me. Saying that, bring back to mind the carnal side of things, where at that point in time, supper time is a time when the family really, it ain't no work, it ain't no school time, nothing, and we sit down and we discuss the family things that would go on through the day and all that kind of stuff. I got
right.
No, some people, even today, mostly among whites, you know, not that they do happen among black, but mostly among whites. And how I found that out is when we on the rig there, I used to want to train the crew. And these boys' fathers were engineers and all that kind of stuff and so on. And at supper time, they would talk all kind of stuff on how the work went and how this and how that and that. Who told you that and who told you that and who told you this and that kind of thing. How I knew it when I went to Texaco to work. And these men who never saw me in life. Oh, so you use Berry. Hey, Pat, come, boy, come with me, Berry. We now get a good man. I never work a day with them. I never do anything. But that supper discussion that they have, They get to know events and people and all that transpire to the day, and that sort of thing. We come and we sit down and we eat, and right now, some of us keep the cell phone in front and we texting somebody and that kind of thing. We don't have that one. That was the custom in that day at supper time when they get together. Not just physically, but they get closer in relation, you know?
Yep.
Get closer in relation by talking to one another. I don't know how you feel, what kind of problem you want to have, where I can help you, and another one make a suggestion, that kind of thing. You know?
And
So
just
there
as
you
a
go.
note again, the supper that they had it with stew, which is
Yeah,
which is forbidden for Passover,
that's
because
all right.
he just said the one I dipped
Yeah, who dip with me?
in the sup,
In the sup, yep.
right?
Yep.
And he dip with me, or no, I dip it and I give to eat. That is the one who will betray me. Now, if this was Passover and they have stew there, they go in straight against what is said in Leviticus about the preparation,
They're breaking
in
it up.
Exodus and Deuteronomy about the preparation of the Passover. There must be no stew.
And you see
So
how
how
easy
you
it is.
depend on sup?
You see how easy it is to overlook these little points, important points that will bring clarity to the whole thing. It had nothing to dip. The roasted stuff, like a Viking, you hold a leg and you bite off all the meat. You know?
And on a more technical note, which I don't want to go to the text, but I could. Anybody could. You all, or everybody now have the same technology, right? Go on the text where it has the bread, and you will see unleavened bread and bread is two different words in the Greek.
Okay, in the Greek,
yeah. The word used for bread that he dipped, the sup, is normal bread. And again, once we understand the commission given in the Torah, there is no way that you could eat the Passover with leavened bread. And again, as for what did it represent? It represents Jesus. So this whole thing where you know the Catholic and them had the Eucharist and saying it's the blood and body, and it's a whole big thing around communion. And Adventists had a nice little silver, well-polished things with little glasses of grape juice, no wine, and the little cracker thing. All that's nonsense. This is supper, a regular supper, eating food, bread, whatever they had. It doesn't seem as though they had meat stuff, but me, you know, I can't say. Right? If they had any fish, if they had any, but they certainly had bread and they had gravy. And it was normal bread, and they had a good eat, full belly after a long day's walk or whatever. And he said, as often as you all do this, remember me. This is it, right? Every time all you come together to eat, all is meat. So just like how you were saying, Sam, what the discussions was on evenings about the family and the day and so on. Jesus is saying, when all you come together now, is a new discussion. Discuss me. When all you sit to eat in the evening to have all this supper, remember me. Talk about me. Talk about this, about what I did and the events that is going to unfold. Yes, that is what he's saying to them. He not instituted no communion service.
I see myself now some years ago on a pulpit in Jersey where I make miles with this thing, but God is so good, you know. People were black. Oh God. I make miles up there, boy. I went down on this thing in full regalia, man. Looking back at it now.
We've all been there.
Everything was kind of junk. As it pertains, of course, to the Passover.
Yeah. We grew up in eating. We did as we were told and as we were trained. But when new light comes, or when more
Exactly.
clarity comes, it's time to move on. Yeah, this is
Move it.
nonsense. It's just nonsense. Sorry, it's nonsense, and that's why you see that Paul and them and what's the name? You know, all when in Acts they had to set aside people to see about the serving of food. It was a big food thing, right? Because every event that they had was we meeting at so and so house to eat. That was the communing, not communion.
Ah, that's correct words. Communing. They commune with each other.
Yes. And they came together on the Lord's Day and on the first day and on the Sabbath day. All these things was eaten. And then they started quarrel who started quarrel about who getting more than who. And then Paul had to talk about who greedy.
Yeah, both of them.
Who greedy. They leave in the house empty, hungry and coming and eating and people who again and again and the things started cause comments, but it was always about coming together, eating, and discussing the salvation of Jesus. That Jesus offered. That's why it's simple. Nothing no maths. All right. So let's go with the Mark version of the same event. Mark says, reading without my additions, and the first day of unleavened bread, when they killed the Passover, his disciples said unto him. So let's just stop right there. If this wasn't reading, if Mark wasn't speaking from using the general use of the word unleavened bread, then this whole statement would be wrong. Because you didn't kill the Passover on the first day of unleavened bread. The first day of unleavened bread is a Sabbath. You'll get your hand chopped off for doing that. You all understand what I'm saying? The first day was a Sabbath. The 15th is a Sabbath on which no work, no fire, no this, no, and you know them you say you go to more extreme than what was required. You can't even walk a certain distance. Right? Somebody needs to mute, please. I don't know who it is, but somebody needs to mute. A lot of background.
Yeah, that's me. Just now. I'm moving to an area here that
yeah, so I'm quiet. Right. So if we read this just as how it is in our King James and run with that, then you're running with a wrong idea, because the first day of unleavened bread, you couldn't kill no Passover. That's just nonsense. The Passover was killed the 14th day, and the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the quote-unquote the official day itself, started on the evening of the 15th. It will be the evening of the 14th. So let's just insert some common sense words to bridge the gap. And as the first day of unleavened bread approached, when they killed the Passover, his disciples said unto him, where, again, I need to just highlight this where, sorry. I want we just to see it's about the where and not the what. Where wilt thou that we go and prepare that thou mayest eat the Passover? Where wilt thou that we go? Where, which hotel? What? The Hyatt, the Hilton, Embassy Suites, where you want us to go and prepare that we may eat the Passover? Not go and prepare the Passover, but for where will we prepare for us to eat it? Verse 14, skip 13, and wheresoever he shall go in, say ye to the good man of the house, the master saith, where is the guest chamber, where I shall eat the Passover with my disciples. So Jesus tell the man, the master say, where is your guest chamber that I may come and eat Passover with my disciples? And he will show you a large room, furnished and prepared. There, make ready for us. And his disciples went forth and came to the city and found as he had said unto them, and they made ready. It says, made ready the Passover. It's so terrible. I mean, these are people who translate, and anyway, God forgive me. I can't play that on the people. Whatever understand they had. But as a translator who translate the whole Bible, one ought to know that there's no way that they prepared the Passover that evening at the man's house, because that is unbiblical and it's unheard of. So, and they made ready for the Passover. So far, so good? Or anybody have an issue? Speak now.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Like you say with the translators, they should have more common sense too, because to prepare the Passover, to prepare for the Passover.
Yeah.
You know, unless they didn't have a word for back in those days.
No. It's not that. The word for wouldn't be there. These conjunctions are conjunctions. Most of them in the English is what put them in. In the Hebrew is just Passover, made, them kind of thing. The English is what puts in all these words in it.
That makes sense for English speaking people.
Yeah, that's why many of the words, when you look at, if we read in this in the other version, well, I mean in the Bible, you see some underline and some not, because many words are put in. It doesn't mean it's a wrong thing, it's just that it has to make sense. Yes, otherwise we'll be just reading. This will read like found, place, made, Passover. That's what you'll see in the Hebrew. It's the translators have to put in words to fill the blanks for English, because the person who was reading it in Hebrew would understand exactly what it's saying. That's the way they wrote, and that's the way they spoke. It come like the old King James, the 1611 King James. I have great difficulty understanding that Bible. not just the King James, what we have with the thou shalt and so on. That has come second nature now. If you read the 1611 one, it's difficult to understand because our brains doesn't relate to the words and the jargon that they used to use back then.
Makes
but
sense.
each era is written for the era that it's written for, and this wasn't written for us. This was written for the Jews back then, and they very well understood exactly that there's no way no Jew would read this and think that the disciples went a day before Passover to eat Passover. That's just stupid.
And we can see a little bit now why the Jews have such disdain for not only Christianity, but the New Testament.
Yeah, they don't want no part of the New Testament. And they just bring up things like this and laugh about it. I just listen to some of them rabbis talking. They just bring up things like this and say, it makes no sense.
When I heard them speak about the New Testament, it's like these people really feel that is gospel. These people feel that is the word of God. They're crazy. That is the kind of attitude they put forward. Christianity is crazy for believing that. Simply because of these translations and the things that are put in them.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going on the road for like about a half an hour. All right. So if I hear him now and then.
Okay. All right. So we could safely understand or put in that is for the Passover they was making ready and not the Passover. last one in that segment, Luke 22, 7-9. Then came the day of unleavened bread, when the Passover must be killed. So he is saying it just like Mark said it. To the Jew, they very well understand it. It's the days of unleavened bread. It's not the day of unleavened bread. It's the days of unleavened bread, because the whole event was called the week of unleavened bread, or the feast, sorry, of unleavened bread. So if I am Luke or Mark writing this to a Jewish audience who understands precisely what I'm saying, they wouldn't get the impression that then came the day of unleavened bread when the Passover must be killed. It makes no sense.
You're muted, David.
Hey, they're talking in real life, but muted on the app.
Your phone call muted there, David.
I'm muted?
You're back now, but your phone call
Yeah,
muted.
muted all the while now.
Like you was getting a phone call now.
No, my phone on do not disturb. I don't know what happened there.
Look, I see a missed call on your phone, but that muted your Zoom.
Okay. Well, what I was saying, right? Let me put it in. Let's put it in brackets. That would make sense. As I go along, because afterwards I'll just share the file. Should I do that up here too? Right, are you hearing me?
Yeah, hold on, clear.
Right. So then came the days of unleavened bread, when the Passover must be killed. So that is the same as saying, then came the feast of unleavened bread, when the Passover must be killed. And he sent Peter and John, saying, go and prepare, I'll read it normal first, go and prepare us the Passover, that we may eat. And they said unto him, where wilt thou that we prepare it? Or prepare, sorry. So the way it's written here in our version, King James, is one must get the impression is where to go and kill the lamb and skin it and roast it for a state. Like if it's dies or it's Passover. It's only if we do not understand Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy is Passover, that we would run away with this understanding that this is a correct translation. Once we read the scriptures, we cannot take this and just settle for it. Go and prepare the Passover. No, they can't.
And it starts with a knowledge of how the feast runs, how everything is put together. Once you read with that understanding, you will be able to easier decipher what the problems with this is.
Yeah, it really is straightforward once we read the scriptures. So it is go and prepare for us the place for the Passover. I just put in those, I mean, you could put in whatever words you want. It's just to get the right understanding. It's about the where, not the what. That we may eat. Not is that they may eat, yes. because you're preparing to eat the Passover, but not preparing the Passover to eat it. Impossible. And verse 9 says, and they said unto him, where? Not what? With sheep. No, where will thou that we prepare? They're going to prepare a place, not a meal. And so I hope that that brings clarity, so that if anybody here had to explain to a friend or a colleague or a family, for it to make sense, that they'll be able to, of course, if they don't have a clue about what the instructions is in Leviticus and Exodus and Deuteronomy and so on, it will be pointless trying to explain this. One must go back and read the instructions given and know that those instructions was on pain of death. On pain of death. And you could read it all in Kings and Chronicles, where they kept the Passover, and Ezra and all them places too. So we're not stuck with just the Torah. We have the prophets too. And the writings. So once we familiarize ourselves with that, or if you're trying to explain this to a friend, I suggest that you familiarize them with a proper understanding of what Passover is. So then when you come and read this, it will make sense. All right, the next point is dealing with the continue is the same event, but now one day later, the actual Passover, the day when the lamb is to be killed. So let's just timeline this event. That evening of the Last Supper is held on the Passover. Note, they ate the Last Supper on the Passover. Some may get confused by me saying that. Remember, Passover is a whole day, but you kill the Passover on the evening of that day. So once Tuesday evening, sunset / Wednesday, because sunset, so the new day started, and they had supper that night, they were eating on the Passover. And that's why it does be so confusing for us who ain't understand Passover. So they're not eating the Passover, but they're eating on Passover. Now that whole night, normally, you would eat a meal, you'll go to sleep, you'll get up the next day, make, whatever final preparations and so on, probably try to go down and line up so that you're early, you're early in the lineup for the actual sacrificial service by the temple. Whatever else, fine tuning you have to do for you and your family, or some people might give them different chores to do, etc., etc. The whole point is that the day of Passover is the preparation day. That is the day that you're preparing everything. And not as how Adventists like to say the preparation day is Friday. Nonsense. It was, if that is your preparation day, by all means, I grew up with that since I was small. By all means, you had to, iron your suit and polish your shoe and
cook your food.
Cook your lunch and all that, and we call it the preparation day for Sabbath. Nothing is wrong with using the word preparation day, but misapplying it to this application is wrong. It's not the preparation as we would call it. Huh?
Rerun that. The preparation day we talk.
Right. So when we at Seventh-day Adventists refer to Friday evening or Friday as a preparation day. right? And we use it that day to cook meals for Sabbath, wash everything, clean the house, iron the clothes, polish the shoes, put away the dress, whatever, right? And so we refer to that day as the preparation day on a weekly basis. Right. But in this application, which we will show from the scriptures, the preparation day that is referred to in the scriptures has nothing to do with Sabbath. Because the Jews do not. You meet any Jew and you ask them anything about preparation day, they don't know what you're talking about. They do not say that Friday is the preparation day. I grew up with Jews.
Yeah, not for the weekly Sabbaths. That is not a thing.
No, they don't. Well, not even at all. They don't even use it because now it doesn't have Passover. So right. they doesn't even use the term anymore. However, here the term is used, and we must understand it in context. So John 19:14 says, and it was the preparation of the Passover. I didn't put that there, no. Everything there is the only thing I tell you, anything in light blue, italics is what I put in, right? And it was the preparation of the Passover. So it says what the preparation was, you know. And yet still preachers take the other one, which doesn't have the words of the Passover in it, and run with it and say it's Friday evening, and trying to hoodwink us into believing that you could get 3 days and 3 nights between that time and Sunday morning, an impossible equation, and people just swallow it and say, well, you know, if you take a minute in this day and a minute in this night, you'll get 3 days and 3 nights.
Can I just ask, are you saying that the Jews don't celebrate Passover?
No, they don't. They celebrate unleavened bread.
Feast of unleavened bread.
Yeah. Because you can't celebrate Passover without the temple. So what they celebrate now is the Feast of Unleavened Bread. They have that. They make sure, and they have no leaven in their house for. No, they don't even wait till the last day. It's a ritual to do it long before.
Right. I know about them not having the anything with yeast in it for that week when they're celebrating.
Mm-hmm.
From what you're saying is they've just changed it from the Passover to the in terms of the name change then.
Yeah, it's unleavened bread. It's a piece of unleavened bread, and they eat the seder. That biscuit thing out there is make the seder.
Yeah. I've seen them do that. Yeah.
Right. So they don't really use the term Passover because Passover cannot be celebrated without the lamb and the temple. The temple is really what it is. Without the temple, they can't.
So which day?
Well, they would have need the temple to do the sacrifice there.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
So which day is being referred to here? Right? The preparation for the Passover.
The 14th. I should have put that there. The 14th. So I might just put the 14th so that we'll.
That was going to be involved the killing of the lamb and all that?
Yes. It involved the killing of the lamb, just as they're doing here. Exactly what they're doing. They reach Jerusalem and they had to find a place and prepare the room and prepare where they, for their family. It might be a whole family, your friends, whatever, your group. This is the day that they used to prepare all day. And then around 3 p.m. or the 9th hour is when the actual killing begins. And everybody just go to their house or wherever you're staying with your sacrifice lamb or goat and roast it at that location. So whether they would have had to get sticks and stones and make up a little fireside and all that would have been part of the preparation. Somebody said something?
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't it ironic then? You know, when one stops and looks at the scripture and you know, try to understand traditionally what was done then and compare, you know, what Christendom to some extent after we've come through Rome, you know, that period of time when Christianity was accepted by Rome, and then they merged the pagan holiday or the celebration to call it Easter. And then we have this whole thing that happens from the Holy Thursday and the Good Friday and all these things that people try to reenact. And, you know, sincerely do it.
Oh, yeah, sincerely.
Right? Because I remember my days, you know, with
Me
the
too.
Holy Thursday and all of that. But just, you know, not understanding, you know, in terms of culturally, the difference of how people lived in the Middle East. Because, you know, when you made reference to Michelangelo and the photo and all of those things with tables, which didn't exist then, but we came to, you know, who grew up on the Western side of the world, that's what we came to know and accept. But it's just so much of a lack of information, lack of knowledge of culture and differences that people today, you know, are so under a delusion to some extent of what has been taught, which is very sad, but it is the reality.
It is sad. And as you rightly said, it's our reality. And we've all been there, done that. And as we continue to grow, I think it is our responsibility to share with others. You know, nobody is shoving nothing down nobody's throat. If they want it, they want it. They want their way, but at least share. Yeah, so it was the preparation. This is the text, John 19:14, and it was the preparation of the Passover, or Israeli for the Passover will be the better terminology. And about the 6th hour, and he said unto the Jews, behold your king. So this is the section with Pilate in the judgment hall. This is fully into the 14th day of the first month, Nisan, or Abib, or Aviv. And Pilate, at this point in time, presents around the 6th hour. According to John's version, it says the 6th hour, and in Matthew, Mark, and Luke, is like the 3rd hour, which is around 9 o'clock. That discussion is for another day. I don't want to open that bag of worms. They both using 2 different timelines, but it's the same timing, right? So on the Passover day, the preparation day, early in the morning, because all night was trials and tribulation and moving from one Sanhedrin to the next, etc., and now, you know, from back to Herod and back to Pilate, and so it went whole night. Now, early in the morning, the preparation day, about the 6th hour, Pilate says, behold your king, and then marches him off to be crucified on the correct day. The correct day, which is the 14th of the first day of the month. But Jesus did not die as soon as they crucified him. He actually said, it is finished around 3 p.m., 9th hour, according to Matthew, Mark, and Luke. 3 p.m., the afternoon. which is around the time, and we only the Talmud has this information. When I say only the Talmud, we get this from the Talmud, not from the Bible. It's about the time of the day that the priests used to start the cutting of the throats, the actual killing of the lambs. So it's not like whole day they was killing lambs. That's not how it works. All the preparations, the water, the basins, a lot of preparations was put in place at the temple, because I mean, there's millions, literally millions of people coming with sheep to be killed. And so all the preparation, the altar, the fire, the wood, all these things were done. And then at 3 o'clock, they would start, and that is by Western time. You know, it's not at 3 o'clock exact like how we just think to the second. 3 o'clock a bell ring and they start. No, around 3 o'clock, that is the time that they would start the actual sacrificing. Everybody who get their sheep sacrificed would then take it to their home or to their place of abode and roast it. And it's in the night, when it is finished cooking properly, that they would eat it with unleavened bread. So let's look at the Mark one. Mark 16, 1 and 2 says, and when the Sabbath was past, Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of James, Salome, had bought sweet spices that they might come and anoint him. And very early in the morning, the first day of the week, they came into the sepulchre at the rising of the sun. Forget what I've put in blue and what I've crossed out, and tell me what day of the week we not on the Passover now, we now on reach the sepulchre now, the Sunday or the whatever. What day is Mark talking about here? What Sabbath is he talking about? Forget what I write in blue, just how it reads. Anybody?
Let me take a look at it.
Mark 16, 1 and 2.
When the Sabbath was past, Mary Magdalene and Mary, mother of James, and Salome had brought sweet spices.
It just say Sabbath, so you're thinking the weekly Sabbath?
Sunday.
Right. So we thinking the weekly Sabbath, Sabbath into Sunday, as Petty say, right? But
Yeah.
what I highlighted, something that I honestly, truly, even though I cannot kind of understand this thing, have glossed over for many, many moons.
The boat.
The word bought. Not brought. Not brought. Bought. As in purchased. And I went back and I checked it in the Strongs. It's to purchase, to buy. That is what the word is.
Okay.
And that changes that highlights the understanding of this text. Because it reads as though, and when the Sabbath was finished, Mary and Magdalene and them came and they brought sweet spices and they came to anoint him, and it was early the Sunday morning and they came to anoint him. That's how it reads in our head.
Yeah, like thing under the bed, and they just pull out a box from under the bed with the spices and run up the road.
They just brought it. But it's not brought it, it's bought it. And that, once we understand, again, the Jewish, well, not forget the Jewish, not the custom, the law. Once we understand the law, then bought, where you purchasing what, when, how, why, on which Sabbath you going to buy that?
And who you learn here? Is that mic drop there?
Yeah, because you're going to get, that is on pain of death. You want to get stoned, literally. If you went and buy them spices, or so you and the person who's selling it, both are again pulling out square.
You gotta buy it from a Roman.
Wait, yeah, because no Jew will open selling. No business.
Watch how them people used to behave every time Jesus healed somebody on the Sabbath day now, boy. Look how much time they try to kill him.
Yeah.
You think you will get out that Mary, them women, and them would have get away because they love Jesus so much, they're going to buy spices on the Sabbath? No way, Jose. That's that sentence. So let's read it. Let's read it. Without the Thursday, right? And when the Sabbath was past, Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of James, and Salome, that's another woman, and Salome, had bought sweet spices. So watch it. Is when the Sabbath has passed. I should highlight that a little bit. Let me do that. As I going through it, it getting even clearer in my head for highlights. Yeah. Has passed, right? So a Sabbath passed. Now, when we see Sabbath, obviously, we think in the seventh day Sabbath. I mean, that's naturally, I should say, not obviously. Naturally, we'll think the 7-day Sabbath, right? But we have to remember that the Feast of Unleavened Bread begins with a Sabbath also.
But can I say, it says here in that, King James Version, it says when it was past. The NIV says when it was over.
Same thing.
When it was over, same thing. Pass, over, finished, done,
right?
sunset.
But if it was over, if it was past, they would have been allowed to purchase things.
Okay. Yes, but hear me out, Cheryl. Hear me out, right? When Sabbath pass is night. Once Sabbath pass, I'm talking about the weekly, regular 7-day Sabbath. Once it's over or it's past, it is nighttime. Where are you purchasing your stuff in the night? It's not like it had current thing like nowadays, where it's not Las Vegas. Thing open New York, they're open all night. Is trade and commerce happened in daylight.
Right, well, we'll be looking at sundown from what Friday.
Yeah,
the Sabbath starting one day.
Sun dong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So
I take your argument.
Right. So when the Sabbath passed, if this is the Sabbath night, as in Saturday night, watch what happens here. Mary Magdalene and them went and they purchase. I'm working with the trend of thought. Saturday night, they went and they purchased sweet spices and so on, that they may go and come and anoint him. And then very early in the morning, which is Sunday morning, the first day of the week, they came to the sepulchre at the rising of the sun. So you purchase it, let's give it a time, 6, 7, 8 o'clock Saturday night. Whole night, I guess, preparing it and things, whatever they used to do to it. And then you walk to the grave early Sunday morning. It kind of sounds okay.
It probably had a night market, you don't know?
Okay. Taiwan, not at all. I love night markets, but it didn't have a night market. But watch this. As a matter of fact, let's leave it open. Let's just say it did have a night market. But let's watch what really happened, because what we're going to be doing is comparing the text, here a little, there a little, and it will explain itself. When the Sabbath was over, there's that is Sabbath of Thursday, because Jesus is crucified Wednesday evening, put in the tomb. They had to rush to do it because Sabbath coming. but it's not Sabbath as in what we have been orientally taught, which is Saturday Sabbath. It is the Sabbath in which they could do no work, etc., etc. The first day of unleavened bread. It is that Sabbath that was coming.
Where you say again?
Huh?
No, oh, sorry. Let me mute off.
Yeah. The Sabbath that was approaching when Jesus was sacrificed is the first day of unleavened bread. Every time it have a Passover, the next day is the Sabbath. Whether it's a Monday, a Sunday, or a Saturday, every time you have a Passover, the next day is a Sabbath. So that Sabbath, that much we could agree on. That Sabbath was approaching, which would be the Thursday. So they had to rest that whole day from the time they put the body in the tomb, just rush it in because it was almost Sabbath. Roll the stone in quick, go home and relax. Right. Whole day Sabbath. Then you have Friday.
Just a question though. When they talked about the fact that there was this occasion that Jesus died when he was crucified, they said that it was a high Sabbath.
Mm-hmm.
So when they say that it was a high Sabbath, because my interpretation of that was that it meant there were more than the one Sabbath that I should say me, came to think and believed that it was just this one Sabbath when there would have been, like, when they say high Sabbath, more than one happening in that week itself?
Yes, more than one, because the weekly Sabbath is never referred to as the high Sabbath. It's a feast day Sabbath is why it got the slang, quote unquote, high Sabbath, because it's the beginning of the feast day Sabbath. So the 7-day Sabbath is just Sabbath. But the high day Sabbath is the feast of unleavened bread. That's why it was called a high day Sabbath. And that could be any day of the week.
You know, I heard it preached once that is when a high day, a feast day Sabbath falls on the weekly Sabbath. That is why it's called a high Sabbath.
Yes, sir.
I heard that preached.
That's what I heard. That's what I heard.
Times. Yeah, that is what is preached. You know, when any feast day Sabbath falls on the 7-day Sabbath, that Sabbath is a high Sabbath.
Yeah, and then when they finish preach that, they try to shove down my throat that you could get 3 days and 3 nights because Jesus died on a Friday night. It does on a Friday evening. It makes no sense. That sermon is to support that Jesus died on Friday, which can't work. It can't work. Otherwise, Jesus lied. He said, I'll be in the grave 3 days and 3 nights and raising on 3rd day. It can't work. So anyway.
You in a previous study, I think you had given some dates in the year of the crucifixion. I don't know if it was sent out. I can't check back now. But what year it was and what day did the
AD 31. I sent it out last week. That is one of the files you can open.
Okay.
But I could always just bring it up on screen for us to go over after we finish talking.
Right.
But it's AD 31 and Passover was Wednesday. And that aligns with what's his name? Tiberius's 15th year when John the Baptist started to preach, and everything lines up. That's why I say I want to do the timeline so that it will be even clearer. What you guys will have access to that.
I pray that you will get the time to put into it to have such a thing done.
Yeah, God is good. We'll get it done, man. So anyway, back to this. So I'm doing this in this way to be kind of progressive. What's the word by procrastinator? Procrastinating.
Procrastinate?
So, no, not a
procrastinator.
procrastinator. Kind of procrastinator. It have a word that is used when you're trying to push things along. Anyway, that word, whatever. It's a P-O, something. Procrastinator. It's not pro. Whatever. Trying to use too much of big words. So let's go back to simple, right? And the Sabbath, which is the high day Sabbath, which we come into just now, is a must. It must have a Sabbath. So they had to rest that day. So Jesus is in the grave whole day Thursday. But it's a Sabbath. Nobody can go by the tomb and say they do it rolling away stone and putting no spices, nothing. As a matter of fact, them boys did a good job. They spice them up before they put them in anyway. So they ain't too worried. But Friday, normal 6th day of the week, is a normal day. It is within the Feast of Unleavened Bread. And yes, you wouldn't be eating anything with leaven, but other than that, life goes on as usual. Shops open, trading takes place, and they went and they purchased spices Friday. This is the day between two Sabbaths. They purchased all the spices and so on. And prepared it. It takes time. It's not like they just buy it and run to the grave. You have to prepare it. So they did all the preparation and so on Friday. And then boom, you have another Sabbath. So they had to wait again. And then you have Sunday morning as dawn is coming, because remember they didn't have street lights. Anything is flamboyant thing they're moving with. But they move as early as they could possibly move, but not in the middle of the night. There's women, and contrary to what we may think, it was dangerous back then for women, even for men, just to travel in Damascus and all them, how much thieves and robbers and bandits and all kind of thing. You move in with all these spices which have high value. They wait till the morning time when it come into almost daylight, just before sunlight, and that is when they move. And plus they had to find somebody to roll the stone and all them kind of thing. All that they had to contemplate. You again, nobody in the middle of the night to do that. So I just painting an overall picture for us to see that Sunday morning, very early, bright and early, as we just say, is when they came. 2 Sabbaths have passed. And I'm going to prove it from the scriptures, not from talk, from the scriptures, one text at a time. So firstly, this one, Mark 16, 1 and 2 says, and when the Sabbath was passed, Mary Magdalene and the mother of James and so on purchased. If this was the weekly Sabbath, as we say, then it would have to have a night market. And that is a stretch. But it would have had to have a night. It's not impossible, but it's a stretch. It would have had to have a night market for them to purchase those things that night. But if we look at it in the natural, where it had a Sabbath between, then they had whole day Friday to do their purchasing and their preparation. So they bought the spices, which to go, and that word come. In fact, I should do it now. I should just go to the scriptures to show you guys it, right? Because you see others do words and things here. Let me do it like this. Let me go to the text. Mark 16:1. Because one might think I should have done that in the morning. One might think that I just added a set of words into the Bible. Yeah, I do play that. And when the Sabbath was passed, Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of James and Salome, had, this word had here is just it's not a word. It's they put it there. It's cross-reference so that you could read it in Luke and John and so on. But it's not a word that Mark put. It's just an English word. So Mary, the mother of James and Salome, bought. It have no had. They bought sweet spices that they might come and anoint him. Watch this, come and anoint him. In English, that doesn't make sense. If you're going somewhere to anoint somebody, you normally say the word go. So let's just see if come could be go. So it is come 2064. I'm scrolling down fast, but you all could check it for yourself, right? You'll see here. Here, I'll put it quite up to the top of the page so it highlighted. Go. It's used as go. Enter, they, there. It is come, but it is come, came, cometh, went, is, was, am, but it is also go. It all depends on context. So the same word, 2064, for clearer understanding, would be go and anointing rather than come. Not that it makes any big difference, you know, but I just like reading English like how my head could wrap around it. So when the Sabbath was passed, Mary Magdalene, Mary, mother of James, and so on, bought, purchased, oh, by the way, let me squeeze on that one. So it's not brought as in bring something, right? To go to the market, that is by implication to purchase, specifically to redeem, to buy, etc., etc. Bought, purchase, buy, redeem. I just wanted to highlight those words so that when we look at it just in my note format here now, you will see that I'm not doing anything to these words that isn't legal, isn't kosher. Salome bought sweet spices that they may go and anoint him. And very early in the morning, the first day of the week, they came to the sepulchre, the rising of the sun. Now, I have added for not reference, for, what's the word? For emphasis, the words Thursday, the first day of unleavened bread, that's Sabbath. But you will see that it could only be that as we continue reading the other versions in Mark, Luke, and John, Matthew, Luke, and John. So this one says they purchased it on the day after the Sabbath, and then they went on the day after the other Sabbath, which is the first day of the week, to anoint him. Let's read it in John. John 9:31 says, the Jews, therefore, because it was the preparation that the body should not remain on the cross on the Sabbath day. Now, earlier up in the verse, and we've read it already, it said the preparation of the Passover. So he's talking about the same thing, writing in a scroll, and instead of writing preparation of the Passover again as repetitive, he just says the preparation. But it is understood because higher up in the text, it already said the preparation of the Passover. It's not a different preparation day, the same day. But most people will just read this verse and not the other one and run with this, and will just add by Friday evening. It's not. So the Jews, therefore, because it was the preparation of the Passover, that the body should not remain on the cross on the Sabbath day, for that Sabbath day was an high day, besought Pilate that their legs might be broken and they might be taken away. So this is the text for the high day Sabbath. John clarifies, he's saying, so the body will remain on the Sabbath, but then he adds value by saying, because that day, that particular Sabbath was a high day Sabbath. This is not your regular Saturday Sabbath. Clear? Moving on. I didn't have to labor that because we went through that already. Matthew 28:1 now. In the end of the Sabbath, as it began to dawn toward the first day of the week, came Mary Magdalene and the other Mary to the sepulchre. So in Mark we read, they bought the spices before after the Sabbath, not before, after the Sabbath, And then early in the first day of the week, they bring the spices. In Matthew 28, it just says at the end of the Sabbath, as it dawned of the first day, which clearly, once you put that in, we know it have to be the day before that, the seventh day. It have to be the seventh-day Sabbath. Notice that they are coming to the sepulchre. It's not they buying, they're not in the market buying, they're not home preparing. Early Sunday morning, they are coming to the sepulchre, not with their hands empty. Even though Matthew doesn't say bring in spices and all that, it's obvious what they're coming to do. Then we have Luke 23, 54 to 56. And that day was the preparation, and the Sabbath drew on. So Luke doesn't say the preparation of the Passover because, again, it is understood. Speaking to a Jewish audience, they very well know what it is. And the Sabbath was drawing nigh. And the woman also, which came with him from Galilee, followed after and beheld the sepulchre and how his body was laid. And they returned and prepared spices and ornaments and rested on the Sabbath according to the commandment. Now let's see how this text fixes everything for us with close inspection and investigation. Luke says it was the preparation. I'm going to start off with the assumption that this is Friday evening. So, and the day was preparation just before the Sabbath. They take Jesus off the cross. It's night is coming, so they're rushing to get him to the grave. The woman following, what's his name, Joseph and Nicodemus, to see exactly what part of the cemetery, which tomb they rest him in, etc. And then they return. So night coming, they return. Watch this. This is Friday evening. They have time to go and prepare spices, which is, you cannot do it legally as a Jew. Do no work, no servile work should be done. So you now, pretending that this is Friday evening, you reach back into wherever house you reach, and all you're working. All you're preparing spices. Okay, whole night, Friday night, you're preparing spices. And then they rest on the Sabbath day. Well, which Sabbath they are resting on? Because the night is Sabbath. I'll let that soak in. And you'll see how this text is actually clearing everything up for us. From the time the sun set, Sabbath started. So at what part were they resting and what part were they working on this Sabbath? It's either you're preparing spices or you're resting. Which one? You're keeping the Sabbath holy or you're breaking it? Which one? So let's read it the correct way. No, before I read the correct way, I'm gonna make sure I hear in mind that it's making sense. If you read this as how it is here and put Friday as the Sabbath day, that was the preparation day, you have a little problem with these women. Somebody needs stoning. Because they rushed to the grave, it was late already, just before sunset, they roll a stone in just in the nick of time. Then they had to run home before it get dark. They had purchased these spices yet, so it means they had to go and buy it because it's not like they had spices home. They now come from Galilee and Canaan with not toting spices. They come for Passover. So they now had to go and buy them spices. Sabbath night, that preparation day night, go and prepare it during the night, and then say they're keeping the Sabbath day holy. No, ladies and gentlemen, the Sabbath day is not daylight. The Sabbath day starts from that Friday evening, quote unquote, that Jesus was hung on the cross, to Saturday evening when the sun set. So if we read that with Friday, we break in all the rules. Tell me if we get that so far, and then I'll clear it up. Hey.
We're good, we're clear.
Oh, I now coming to see if my mic was muted or something. All right, so let's not use that Friday thing, right? Let's use how it really is. So on the day that was the preparation, and the Sabbath drew nigh, which is the Feast of Unleavened Bread, High Day Sabbath. That is the Sabbath that drew nigh. And the woman which came with him from Galilee followed after. Now, of course, I just pulled the text out of context, but you all could go back and put the whole verse and chapter together, right? It's Joseph and Nicodemus, they're following to see where they rest anybody. They followed and beheld the sepulchre and how his body was laid. And they returned, and Luke says, and prepared spices and ornaments, and rested on the Sabbath day. Whole Sabbath. They returned to wherever, once they see where the body was, they returned. They had to rest the Sabbath day. That Sabbath is the next day, Friday, that they, from the other scriptures, we know that they purchased. Did I lose screen sharing? I think so.
Yes.
Yeah. The Friday, according to the other text, it says bought. This one doesn't have bought, it just have prepared, but it is understood. And of course, if we go here a little, there a little, we know they had to buy it and then they prepared. So on the Friday, the day between the Sabbaths, they prepared the ornaments, and then they rest on the 7th-day Sabbath according to the commandments. Thou shalt not do any work, thou nor thy son, etc., etc. And as I said, no matter who we are, if we read this, or what our belief is, if we read this text with this Sabbath being Friday evening, then we have problems, all kind of problems that cannot be solved. And then Luke 24:1 says, and it is a continuation from this narration here, so 23:54 to 56, and we reach to 24:1. Now upon the first day of the week, very early in the morning, they came to the sepulchre, bringing, now is the brought, not bought, not purchased, bringing the spices which they had prepared, and certain others with them. So it's them and some other women and so on came, everybody came, bringing the spices early in the morning. So they bought the spices previously, prepared it in between Sabbaths, because there's no way on the preparation day night they could be preparing spices or any kind of work for that matter. And I rest my case. Queries, comments, concerns? I'll look for the thing in the meantime. Yeah. Thing for Sam.
Already fix one. No, I had a comment kind of way, but I already correct myself. I already figured it out. I good too.
Thanks.
You share the comment now, somebody might be so lucky.
No, I was just saying that when they're talking about it being the day or they rested on the day. It could being very, very technical, but the Bible already said the evening and the morning was the day. But you know how we just consider day to be daylight now. That when they rested.
Yeah, but you know, following the Jewish tradition, they don't rest on the daylight, how we will think about it, but rather just as how Assembly Adventists will keep Sabbath, or supposed to keep Sabbath, the Jews keep the Sabbath. It's from the Friday evening to Saturday evening. Nighttime as well as daylight is considered resting on the Sabbath day.
Mm.
So it's not like we could work whole Sabbath night and then rest when sunrise. That is an impossibility. In the tradition, I mean, you could do it on pain of death, on strain of death.
Mm-hmm.
So when you put it all together, all the texts, and as I said, I could send this as a PDF out after the study so that anybody could double check me. In your own time, you know, when you're not, you know, in your own time, when you're just in your quiet time, check it. You'll see that they bought the spices on the Friday and they prepared it Friday and then came to anoint him Sunday. But of course, thank God, we know he was risen long ago. He done raised from the dead. As he said he would. After 3 days, if this was Friday, I don't know what kind of maths you had to work to get 3 days. I don't know. I just don't know. I remember I used to be trying to figure out in my head when they're preaching it all how. I used to struggle with that and then just resign to, well, you know, I'm a dummy and they know and I just can't understand it. But eventually. Hey, how are you guys so quiet? Everybody going on? Look for that thing for Sam, huh?
I said I don't know what I was supposed to say after that. You said something about his house on I was listening.
Yeah, right here.
Okay, good.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, what was the name of that study boy? Try them, Robert. So I could go to the website. Okay. So as I said, just for Sam, you there? Because I see you asked for it tonight.
Yeah. I had the mute off for a while ago.
Right.
So
Okay.
that about that thing.
This is our website, and any note I send for you guys, it's easy to find it, or you could go directly for yourself to NASA's Naval Observatory Department. It have the link here and you know, you could go to and look for it for yourself. Don't take this guy's word for it, don't take my word for it, because I did it. I went. It's years I did find this. This was like a breath of fresh air because everybody was pushing this 80-33 and 3.5 years and so on and so on. And so I struggled to find somebody who would have it correct. And then I came across this guy. And it wasn't because I was looking at the 3.5 years at that time. It was, I was looking at, sorry, it wasn't that I was looking at the Passover. I was looking for the 63 weeks. That's what I was studying at the time when I found this. And well, this blows it all up. Passover, 63, everything goes up here. So I don't know what these guys believe or what they don't, but all I'm interested in is that the dating that they did get from the U.S. Naval Observatory. Here it is. Again, they know how to think all the conjunctions and the what is it special by the you have two, the summer solstice and the winter solstice and all those things. By following these things, mind me scrolling, sorry, you all need to go and get your own downloader. So I just scrolling the equinox and the equinox and the this and that. This is above my pay grade. They have this thing on NASA's website where you could check dates going 2,000 years backward and 2,000 years forward. And so from that, what the guy extracted, and this is the same information on the website. It's not in table form like this, but if you go, you'll get the same information, just not in a table like this. For the years around, the possible years around Jesus' ministry is what he did. So he did from AD 26 to AD 34. And let's go in the column with Passover. So Passover, the 14th day of Nisan. In 26, it fell on a Sunday, 27 a Friday, 28, it fell on a Wednesday. Now, that is the correct day for it to fall on in order for 3 days and 3 nights and for what they call Palm Sunday, rarely to be Palm Sunday, which it is. They have that one right, Palm Sunday. That's the day where you used to choose the lamb, the 10th day of Nisan. Everything there was correct. And then you leave Palm Sunday and you reach the Friday. Something wrong. 10th, you get the lamb. On the 14th, you kill it. On the 15th, you eat it. Like clockwork. Anyway, the 28th, AD 28, it was on a Monday. Sorry, that's 29. It was on a Monday. On the 30th. Huh?
Something I find
about turning it sideways, if I could get it better. Probably if I turn it sideways, we could get the whole thing to fit. Yeah.
Because you're saying something that's contrary to what I see.
All right. Now we can see it, right? This is basically what it has the vernal equinox, the astronomical moon conjunction, the first visible crescent, which is, of course, from Jerusalem, the date of the 1st of Nisan and the 14th of Nisan. And all this is based on the observatory that NASA, or website that NASA has set up so that you could track what day of the year, any day fell on your birthday. If you was born in AD 30, what day of the year it would have been on. You could follow that with this website. So let's, for simplicity, let's just deal with the one that we deal with, which is AD 31. In AD 31, Passover fell on a Wednesday. If you go to AD 32, it's a Monday. 33 is a Sunday. 34 is a Thursday. None of those years could Jesus have been crucified if he was to spend 3 days and 3 nights in the grave and rose on the 3rd day, and early Sunday morning he wasn't there. There is no other day of the week that could work except in Wednesday. And so by that, working backwards, we know AD 31. Now, note that AD 28, it's also on a Wednesday, but that will be too early because at that point, John now start preaching. That's the 15th year of Tiberius. He can't be now start preaching and then he got killed the same year. So so obviously, even though it was on a Wednesday, it's the wrong year. That makes sense, Sam?
So in AD 31, Passover was on a Wednesday. And AD 31 is the year of his crucifixion.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Right. So then,
right.
then
so it would have been Passover whether he was crucified or not.
Right.
But that was the year of his crucifixion.
No, we're right. I'm trying to tie in the two together for the Wednesday crucifixion because it was another year, and although it's Wednesday, it wouldn't line up.
No. So that is like AD 28, where we could see that AD 28, it was on a Wednesday, but April 28 on a Wednesday, but it wouldn't line up because that wasn't year that Jesus was crucified. So it does fall on a Wednesday plenty time, but it's only 1 year he was crucified.
Yeah, one particular year the crucifixion was taking place. All right, I think that should be the last nail in the coffin. You know, that should be the last.
So all the information, how they get it and what they...
On the Passover of that year.
Yeah. Let's just read what he have here since we're here. Understanding that it was a Wednesday Passover and crucifixion also solves the apparent conflicts in the Gospels records. Luke 23, 55 and 56 says, it says that the woman, Mary Magdalene, hey, you can't say the same thing I just said. Look, it says here that the woman, Mary Magdalene, and Mary, the mother of James, went and prepared anointing spices and oils before the Sabbath. In Mark 16, it says that they bought them after the Sabbath. The answer lies in the fact that there were two different Sabbaths being referred to here. The woman bought and prepared the spices on the same day. The day of the week was Friday. When Mark says they bought the spices after the Sabbath, the Sabbath he's referring to was a special Thursday Sabbath, the first day of unleavened bread that followed the day of the Passover. When Luke says they prepared the spices and then rested on the Sabbath he's referring to is Saturday, the weekly Sabbath. What we just studied, that man have that here in a nutshell. I didn't even see that. What we just studied there, it's in a nutshell here. These are here.
Yeah.
Let me read on. There is also profound in Matthew 28, and I've already paid attention to what he writes as the dates I was paying. There is also profound in Matthew 28:1 that there were two Sabbaths. Most Bible translators render the word Sabbath in the singular because translators believing the traditional Friday crucifixion scenario couldn't make any sense of the fact that the Greek manuscripts all render this word in the plural. This fact can be verified by anyone with a Greek interlinear translation or a Greek lexicon. Matthew 28:1, therefore should read, now after the Sabbaths, as the first day of the week began to dawn. Therefore, for all the records to add up, it must be concluded that Yeshua was crucified on a Wednesday. Straight talk. Now that one I've read that argument before and I've checked it. This one, what we just read there about the plural. And the thing is that in the Strongs, all of them is the plural, Sabbaton. It have Sabbaton and Sabbatah is the Greek word for Sabbath. Sabbaton is really a plural word. But for a lot of places where it is Sabbath or is referring to the weekly Sabbath, it uses the same one. So I found that argument not so strong. That's why I don't use it. Even though it is there and it does say Sabbaths, somebody will just say, but look, it says Sabbath here too, and is one Sabbath. I hate about all the arguments. So it doesn't use it. But it is there. It's correct.
I wonder then where and when and how did Friday slip in there? I can't figure that out.
How did Friday slip in?
Yeah.
It's a pagan, as Sharon just said, it's a pagan, it's a merging of a pagan
Yeah,
You think
but
the Easter goddess or whatever, they just merge a pagan weekend into Christ's crucifixion, join it and stick it with crazy glue, and the rest is history. Nobody are paying attention anymore.
That was I find strange. Somebody at some point in time when this change, right, would have been introduced, could have done say, nah, that wasn't so. Last year was Wednesday. How come
The
the
powers that
Friday?
be changed that, you know, Sam. The powers that be changed it. And even with everything, it have all that is known, you know, that is not no secret anymore. Everybody knows, well, anybody who cares would know that Easter is a pagan holiday that is linked.
Yeah, that is a fact, but
same way they would know Christmas. Christ could not have been born on Christmas Day, impossible. But they know the pagan god whose birthday they're celebrating and all of that. So these things are known and just ignored. And let's go hunky dory down the road.
Because at one time they tried to introduce Monday as the first day of the week, and we all catch that at a glance. You know, days of the week are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Well, Adventist was hopping mad, but they said the Sunday law coming.
You
know that most ship calendars still are like that, right, Sam? Most European countries, Europe on a whole, and most ship calendars still use that Monday as the first day of the week on the calendar.
I didn't know that. I know. It hit Trinidad some years ago, and it started with a copybook.
Right.
Copybook.
They try to bring it in, it causes confusion, and they bowl it out.
Exactly.
But in Europe, it is, and especially in the shipping industry, which is why I know it because I see it all the time. It's how the calendars are. They on most ships that I work on, the calendar still starts with a Monday.
Yeah, there are many calendars still like that, even down here.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
But it doesn't change the fact that Sunday is the first day of the week. They can do what they want. Well, I mean, that the first day number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You could put Monday on it if you want. It still wouldn't change anything. All you're doing is changing the names, but you can't change that the first day of the week is Sunday, or the first day. So if you say Tuesday, the first day of the week, it's still the first day of the week. Say Friday, it's still the first day of the week. You can put whatever the name you want there. It will still be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Sabbath. All right. So that's a wrap, folks. That wasn't actually has sorry on the Zoom link invite. It really have the day of the Lord, as the study for the day, but the Spirit lead differently, and he changed it. So I ain't arguing. We went for this one instead.
But this astronomical dating system, I like it. It's just that I am not handy with technology, and I can't pull these things up, at a moment's notice. And especially nobody thinking that would do not that working with,
Well,
so that's why these details is important to me.
I'll put the link in this PDF as well, just for reference. I'll put the link, and once your phone working properly, you can just click on it, and it will come to this page that we opened on just now.
All right.
Rain has still down here. What?
Say again?
It's only bleaky here. I like just doing one again.
Is it, yeah?
Plenty rain just come down. Will you having rain?
Yeah, I haven't.
Only again, I'll just do here. Maybe later on to this.
Right. So the link inside of the PDF. Well,
Okay.
oh, there's a problem. When it's when it's a PDF, right? It doesn't be able to click the link. So probably I'm setting you up there in a son. When it's a PDF, you can't click the link in a PDF. It wouldn't go. Like how I doing it here live. When I send this out as a PDF, you wouldn't be able to click on it. However, all you have to do is type in this intercontinental.org.
Intercontinental.org.
Yeah. Once you type this into your search engine in Google, just as it is here, this page will open. The page will open up.
I wonder that problem with the
I think that is part of the problem.
check it out.
So this, when I send it as a PDF, you could click on it from now until February. It can't open. It wouldn't open as a PDF.
But you could send it separately on even. Not in a PDF, just send it as a link.
As a link, okay, yeah, I could do that. Thanks. Wasn't thinking out of that thing. Yeah, all right. So I'll just send I'll forward this address on Zoom. So you should be able to then just click on it in WhatsApp and it should come to this page.
All right, I'll be done outside.
I'll try that. But I'll still leaving the link here in the anything.
Yeah, that's one.
Yeah, but I'll send it. I'll go to the page and then send it as a forward in WhatsApp. And so everybody should then be able to just click in your WhatsApp without any hassle, straight to the page. Yeah, so as for anybody who came late, we're trying to work on a timeline with showing the 70 weeks of Daniel's prophecy in real, in a nice format, in a timeline, in a chronological timeline, so that if you choose for your own study, you could use it as a reference or even as a handy tool to help others to see that what we've been fed about Jesus' ministry being 3.5 years and all the rest of it is untrue, and it's not scriptural at all. And that the Bible is so plain and so clear that it showed us exactly when Jesus was crucified, or how long his ministry was, I should say. And understanding that, guys, I ain't lying to you all. It has opened up so much other parts of the scriptures. It ain't funny. Just that concrete evidence of that it's 63 weeks and not, well, not any other thing. Yeah, it has opened up the other prophecies and are itching. It's itching to jump out of my skin, itching to share what has been opening up as a result of concretely identifying the timeline in the 70-week prophecy. So it's coming. But just so that you all could start thinking about it and probably even start studying it. So next week we'll be prepared. Day of the Lord. Trailer. That is what we'll be studying next week. The Day of the Lord. And Sam, I go and burst one eye bubble next week with a study. Yeah, sorry to burst it, but telling you in advance so you'll be prepared.
You prepare me for the fall?
Nah, fall, I burst bubble.
I burst bubble, right?
Yeah, I burst bubble. All of us bubble go and burst actually, but you in particular. The Day of the Lord. When we hear that term,
what comes to my mind
A
when
lot
I
of
hear
people
the
think it's
Lord?
Sabbath, 7-day Sabbath.
Nah, judgment.
Some
Now, now the day of the Lord and the Lord's day, although in English might mean the same thing, it had two different meanings in my mind. Now, the Lord's day, when I hear about Lord's day, I think in Sabbath. But when I hear the day of the Lord, I think in about judgment.
Right. So yeah, Yves was talking about, I think it's more the one where there's referred to for the Lord's day.
Yeah,
Sabbath.
I was in the spirit on the Lord's day.
Yeah, right. But the one I'm talking about is the judgment one. The judgment one.
The terrible day of the Lord.
Yeah, that one. That one that Christendom does use to whip us into subversion. I can't pronounce all these big words this morning, but
subversion.
Yeah, well, is it the subversion
or subjection? Anything really
subjection, submissions.
Yeah,
but it's really into that kind of thing. I mean, because you had to find a frightened message to get them on the straight and narrow.
But I'll tell you something, Like, what is really moving some funny kind of way. I never like to preach vengeance and hell and that kind of thing in any of the crusades whatsoever, because I find that is frightening people into the kingdom or trying to, not because you love the Lord, but because you're afraid fire.
Strong arm.
So I do be in that, and whenever they be making the appeal and they're talking like that, I used to think, boy, this day in a crusade, well, but not the last day crusade, but coming down on the last week, Pastor Caesar was my mentor, one thing, and we working together. We doing the field up inside by Sienna and them up there in Queen Anne. And since we were under her house, his mother house, we had little kind of couples meeting for that 5 weeks crusade. Yeah, and we third week this. So we coming out and Pastor Caesar asked me, he say, you think we should go up by Mudge and live with her? I will call the baby Mudge because it's son and mother. I tell him, I know when we reach there, we'll see how things look. When we reached there, herself and her daughter in the gallery, and we went in and asked her, what she think about the crusade and what she been hearing and does she believe this and what she believe. And she said, yes, everything was good. I haven't come down, but I'll be hearing, I'll be hearing everything, and this is true and that is true. And what do you think about the Sabbath? And what do you think about, yes, this is true and that is true. Okay, and then you make up your mind for baptism at the end of the week, we have baptism. He said, well, maybe next time I hear your boy on the floor who do like to frighten people into heaven. I said next time is a dangerous word, Today if you hear his voice, harden not your heart, This is the time to make the decision for Christ. I say, I know what happened, I know what happened. I want to stop going to dance and things. She laughed and she said, I may dance. And I say, I feel the boyfriend must be wanted to baptize. And we joking up and thinking about it. So she's an elderly woman. She retired, you know what I mean? But,
Just joking.
A little human thing in it, And then I get serious. I say, it's dangerous. I wouldn't tell you next time. Everything is in God's time. And I believe that we came under your house for one and one only purpose. And that is to give you a chance to enjoy both worlds. The carnal world that we have lived in over the years, our parties and our fancy makeup and looking good and, and all that has come to an end or is coming to an end. And the Lord wants to give you an opportunity for the kingdom. Because time is not ours. I might say to you, okay, next time, and it might never next time for me. After we speak here in the morning, we could get news that I am a dead man. Or we could get news that you are no longer with us.
Gift is today, tomorrow is not promised.
Listen to me. And those are the things I don't talk with people. I don't do that because I find it frightening. And I tell her, this could be your last day. And when is the next time you will accept? That's all you have to do is to accept. And the records have it. As you are a candidate for heaven, God has sent us here to call you. You shouldn't put that off because it might be a next time. I take in my breakfast the very next morning. Process come there, process up. He say, Clifford, all you got postpone crusade. I said, for what reason postpone crusade? That Friday morning, eh?
Yeah.
I hate my breakfast. He said, you got a crusade and how week one time. I said, what are you talking about? He said, and March there? But I didn't hear anybody. And I put back my piece of bread in more time that training. I said, no, I don't know, wait. He said, yeah. He said, you hear what I tell you? March.
You're talking just like persons there, right?
That's what he mean. He said, Marge, when you keeping the crusade. He said, I said, Marge. He said, yes, and she dead. I said, process, Marge dead. Listen, when my mother died, I do think I bawled. Like how I bawled for that woman. The bread fall out my mouth. You know what I tell you? My bread fall out my mouth by the breakfast table, and I ball. And everything I talk it, and pause raising, but again, emotional. And everything I was telling that woman that evening, boy, it was so sweet. That was the last evening she never time. And I take a different look at things now. Sometimes people think I'm stupid. So I think I'm stupid. You don't understand, because that is the kind of thing I don't do. I don't like to hear preachers do it, and I never did it before. But when I open my mouth and that woman gathered with that, these are the kind of frightening realities I was bringing to that woman. And when forces come and tell me that woman dead, you're making joke or what? I went to pieces. Well, we had a wake and all that kind of thing, and so on after. The next week we put up the crusade one. The next 2 days after a week after the, and so on. I have a people up there. I have just 2 children and an adult in that meeting. And that woman was supposed to be the next one, or she might not have hit the water, but we would have a word of acceptance from her, So, boy, sometimes I was keeping more quiet when I hear things going on that I don't particularly believe in or condone. I say, I know God in control and He knows what He's doing. That.
Sam, you have good mouth.
Girl, I don't know. I don't think I was talking. That had to be Holy Spirit talking, because I don't talk them things. I don't want to frighten you. I want to tell you about the goodness of God, and I can't let you fall in love with that and want some of that goodness. You know what I mean? I believe that when one is converted by the love of God and how good He is, and what He has done for me and for others like me, and things, I believe that kind of thing is love talk from God to make you fall in love with Him. So me, I want to tell you about no hellfire, and you might dead tomorrow, and if you're dead then your portion is where you spend eternity and all that kind of thing. Let them drag and talk. I don't believe in that. But that was what was coming out of my. You know what come like? The prophet who went to curse Israel and could only bless them. Because the very thing that I don't believe and don't condone, and if somebody tell me that I take it up into as well, but it happened to me. I talk in these things that I do not talk, things I don't want to talk, anything I talk. And the next day, the man by the man gallery pronouncing that on the man for the next day, this might be the last day. So
yes, I agree. I'll go out. Sucks.
I had to watch about it. I had to watch about it, cut up and ashes, but anyway, I have to do it. I don't preach again. Yeah.
But as I say, you see the day of the Lord, a little bit shocked with that one. I ain't lying to tell you because I shocked with it. That study that we're going to do, hopefully by God's grace, next week.
I can't wait. It's so interesting.
Yeah, it's a study that it has been a long time in coming. It's time we come full circle with it because, again, as once the 70 weeks came clear.
Why? That come like me and him, man. It's time we bring it now because it has no more time.
Exactly.
But
it does come in a time when it's full circle now because it's something that some of these studies I just had them studying and just and they're on the back burner because one piece of data missing. And this is one such. It had a text. I could even get the text. The text is 2 Peter. For the longest while I couldn't wrap my head around that text. Huh?
2 Peter 2:9.
Let me see. 2 Peter, close to the end of 2 Peter. 9, you say? Let me see.
Yeah, I have 2 Peter 2:9 or 3:9.
God knoweth how to deliver the godly out of temptations and to reserve the unjust unto the day of judgment to be punished. Yes, that, but it's not that one. It's in connection with that because it's same letter you write in here. I think it's in chapter 3. Hey, come back. Right, this is 2 Peter 3:12. This has always been a text that I just say, nah, more information had to come on this text. And these the crux right here. Looking for and hasting unto the coming of the day of God, wherein the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved, the elements shall melt with fervent heat.
Yes.
In church we had a thing that they used to say, we need to hasten the day of the Lord.
Yeah.
They used to use this text as the weapons stuck for that particular kind of doctrine, the hastening. Anyway.
Because we have to push the spread the word.
Yeah.
Get the gospel short all
we gotta get some stars in the crown.
Because he waiting for us to hurry up and get it around before he comes. So the more we speed up on the road,
and if we going slow, well, we're slowing him down.
Right.
Imagine that God waiting on us. Well, he's waiting forever. He'll never come. If really and truly God had to wait on man, nah. That is a fallacy in itself. But anyway, this text, and we'll understand why when we study it. Don't miss this one, folks. This one hot. The day of the Lord will surprise you. It has some bubbles to burst.
Yeah. It's that from 10. 2 Peter 3:10.
Yeah, even the one what you just given is part of it. 2:9, yeah? All that's part of it.
2 Peter 3:9,
all this 8 beloved, one day is with the Lord like 1,000 years. Well, it have a blow monster gold nugget on this text right here.
Yeah, this 2 Peter 3 is a very deep and informative. I've been across it a couple of times. That was 2 Peter 3:9, but the whole ballpark.
I'll tell you why this text has always bothered me. It's because the only text outside of Revelation that seems to refer to a time past
Okay.
AD 70.
Okay, okay.
That is why this text has always been in Macro until now.
Yeah, the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise. The elements shall melt before the earth also, and the works therein shall be obscene. Then that all such things shall resolve. What manner of persons were all holy?
Hey, I have a showstopper for it's one of the nuggets coming up, but there's a little showstopper to take us out. You know, every time we talk about the tree of life, we like to think of it, we just talk about with the 12 fruits every year, and now we just talk about every month or whatever. You know, we just refer to, I don't think it have anybody within the hearing of my voice that don't like mango. So we all vying for which mango.
Okay, what flavor? And we
What
say that the only
flavor,
three
what starch,
yeah.
or Julie, or what.
Yeah.
You know, I remember Damien and I just had this conversation. and you know, the nugget, I'm saving it because it's a lot of proof that had to come now with the nugget. But what I'm saying for now is that it ain't mango. Because if it was mango, then we'll all be living forever.
Yeah, I hear you. Especially starch mango. I say especially starch mango.
If the tree of life, yeah, if the tree of life, right, was the fruit on the tree of life that will be in heaven that we are looking forward to. If it was starch mango, Julie mango, whatever mango, right? Then as it is right now, I will be living forever. Because the amount of mango I will be.
Anyway.
So my point is, it ain't mango. But it have a big super nugget around it. We'll be dealing with that. We dealt with the new heaven and the new earth, that it would have sea, it will have sun, it have no temple, it have one more, it's the tree of life, and we can deal with that next. But I didn't want to deal with it this morning because this study here take us a great deal of time to unload. So I didn't want to bring that nugget, but it coming. It ain't mango though. Sorry. Another bubble buster.
When you forward the stuff to me, I got check and see that video.
I don't send that already, you know.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, you mean the PDF? I'll send the PDF now, but when we done study, but I'll send the link to the astronomical
Yeah. I'll send that version now. Yeah. I'll go for the PhD study and get a PDF forward.
Yeah, I'll forward this PDF shortly. Let's somebody close us off now. Let's go.
Thank you,
Thank you, Father. Good.
For this, our spiritual food. I thank you also for answering my prayer, because there are times I feel a little drowsy in between, but this study had me fresh, my peace, and all of this. Thank you. I pray that everyone, this study has got me to the full extent. Let these things be retained in our minds, O God. At the time of the promise, get closer and closer. May we be closer and closer drawn into you, with a better understanding to your plans for us and their assurance. So in the meantime, I ask, O God, that with Let not the enemy have his way with us. Give us favor and patience and sin. And live with the understanding every day to be more to learn about you and for us. That here are people. So continue to just represent us. Even cherish very special way that we know you are for them. And there will be obstacles and what's happening in this life. We'll try to move every stumbling block, clear every will or whatever it is, whether financially, whatever it is, oh God. Along with the Holy Spirit, we are praying this new study, understanding that we need, and the nation of the willingness to share. So you know your people, but we are happy to receive value from your word. So thanks again for this. You been blessed, continue to bless us. Father, we have come to time. We will fully commit, so we know that we have so I really your presence.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen.
Amen. Sammy, went so soft there. I will never cut you on an amen.
You hit my camp amen, you know, when it's in one.
Amen.
Sorry. Is that your went so and then it sounded like anything?
Oh yeah, I went on the body. Sometimes when we have devotion, I will come out to or I'll go down my prayer. I think sometimes I'll get kind of a mental connect kind of thing. That, you know, that I'll see myself over. But all in all, it was a good study. I mean, all my studies was good. I enjoyed them, I think. Some of them, yeah, you know what? The game sweet and sweet. I always buy these things. I don't know. They are just based on them. And they're here. I love miss them.
I miss you guys.
I miss the fellow to come in too. Although I'm here to eat today.
Oh, that's good. Soon we'll be in one accord. One space, same place.
Have a good day, everyone. I have to say bye.
Okay, they're all safe and sound.
Yes, it was a long, tedious drive, but we reached finally.
All right, great.
Yeah.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
Okay, be blessed for the rest of the week.
Hi, everyone.
Bye, Sharon.
Bye.
Daniel. Bye.
Petty, how can I go and give?
He got, you know.
No, I say, look,
Yeah, praise the Lord, he good.
And John, I hear John for the longest while.
John, say good morning. John looks some accent here.
Yeah, morning.
Long time no here, boy. Everything all right?
Yeah, everything good.
To God be the glory, to God be the glory.
Yeah,
All right, then.
I put on here anything here, pray.
Eh?
You say, yeah, pray. Morning.
Yeah, morning.
Yeah, man, bless. Good to hear your voice.
Mm.
All right, guys, so on the flips.
All right, then. Zygers in.
All right.